Welcome back. Joining us, Seji Saji, Deputy Director General, NADMO Technical, Samuel Okujetua Blakwa, MP North Tong. I don't know to call him whether the head of a new NADMO in the Volta region. Also, we shall later be joined by Suleiman Ibrahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa, Dr. John Osai Kwapong. Too excited about his mother's party and the things happening in it. Democracy and Development Fellow, CDD Ghana. Nana Komia is here in the studio. He is member New Patriotic Party Communications. Also speaks for the Dr. Bahamia campaign. Godwin Eduji Tameklo is legal and communications team member, National Democratic Congress. Of course, he is in charge of legal affairs of the NDC. Gentlemen, good morning to all of you and welcome to Newsfile this morning.
Good morning, Samson. Good morning to you viewers.
So let's go straight to Seji Saji, Deputy Director General, NADMO. We spoke to you about the same time last week as we spoke about the over 30,000 people who had been displaced and needing relief and how you were coordinating the relief to those who have been affected. This morning, what can you tell us? At this point, let's deal with some figures. What is the total number of people who have been affected? And we will move on further to check your relief coordination efforts, how really coordinated, well coordinated it is. Hello, Mr. Saji. Did we lose Saji? Okay. Samuel Okujetua Blakwa is MP for North Tong. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Okay, so just a little few difficulties. We should connect with them and get to you to give you some information. But of course, Ghanaians ought to be applauded for the manner in which they have gone to the aid of the affected. Let me begin. Saji, thank you very much for joining us, sir. Hello, Saji. So on your screens, we are showing you some of the people who went to make donations, institutions. The education minister was there with his team. The finance minister was there with the finance ministry team, as in individuals making contributions for that place. The sanitation minister also, correct? And then we had several, Magdan, Tornado, Capitano, El Capitano, Tornado, and the Wembley sports people. Okay, so let's try again. Honorable Samuel Okujetua Blakwa, thank you very much for making time to join us.
Thank you very much, Samson.
Right. So earlier I was saying I don't know how to describe you now, whether as an MP or rather a relief coordinator. And we are showing pictures actually from your page where you have constantly updated all Ghanaians about the people who are coming and the donations they are making and how you feel. This is you and the finance minister and how you feel about it. And the next big steps that you want to happen. So give us a brief. How has the week been since we spoke to you last week?
Well, thank you very much, Samson, and good morning to you, the panel, and to all your distinguished listeners. It's been a very hectic week, but it has also been an inspiring week. It's been a week where many Ghanaians have been responding. When we spoke last week, there were just about 18 organizations and individuals who had come in to support us. As I speak to you, the updated list I hold in my hands here, 55.
Wow.
55 organizations. And honestly, I have really been overwhelmed by the outpouring of compassion, of kindness. Ghanaians are very good people, I must emphasize. Very good people. You have volunteers. Nooks has been here with students who say they want to take time off and just come and teach our children under trees.
You were actually asking for volunteers for your caravan.
Yes, and the response has been overwhelming. Nooks, the All Africa Students Union, and the Town Students Association in the universities responded, and they are here organizing free classes for the kids. Because remember that as long as these camps remain in these 21 schools, there can be no education. The children don't have access to their classroom. And they are losing time because their peers are learning across the country. And they are going to be writing the same BC. They'll be writing the same WASI. So that has been my headache, really.
So presently, there is absolutely no option than to use the 21, classrooms or plus churches, so that there's the pupils, the students will have the opportunity of an environment to learn?
That is a sad reality. And earlier in the week, the Minister of Education was here, and he saw things for himself. In my remarks, I emphasized this point that alternative housing really is critical at this point. We need to find alternative houses so we can relocate the displaced people. The numbers have gone up a bit. I think North Dawn is hitting 13,000 now in terms of the displaced people, according to the latest NADMO data. So these are huge numbers. And even though our chiefs have donated land, and I must commend the chiefs, they say that anybody who is willing to come and put up housing here does not have to pay for the land, not even a knocking fee. You don't have to present drinks, nothing. Just come and take over the land and start. And I must commend the First Sky Group. We are working very, very fast. And then I must also commend Pastor Martin, who has promised that his church will also take up a housing unit. Mr. Ibrahim Mahama has also promised that he will also take up a few housing units. And he's already sent his engineers here to do a recce and to assess the land. This morning, he sent bulldozers here to start preparing the land for houses to be constructed. And we want to thank him very much. We are eternally in his debt. I must also add that the relocation discussion must go beyond a few philanthropies because the numbers are huge. And government will have to really put together an allocation for this. And that is why when the finance minister came yesterday, whilst commending him for his visit, I emphasized 2 points. That in the 2024 budget he will be presenting to Parliament in a few days, I want to see 2 things. 1, resettlement allocation in the budget, and 2, compensation allocation in the budget, because it is urgent. Apart from the fact that schooling has been affected, the sanitary conditions are not the best. Classrooms are not created for residential accommodation. There are no showers, there are no toilets, there are no beds, and so it's just makeshift structures. People are crammed, there's congestion, and doctors are already saying that my people are now presenting with all kinds of respiratory diseases and skin infections from heat rash and all of that. So it's not humane. No human being deserves to be living in a classroom under these conditions. And even though this week Red Cross, and I must commend Red Cross, they brought us 24 tents to help ease the congestion. The congestion is real and it still remains. And we don't have even enough portable toilets in these camps. So these are not conditions anybody should live in. And so it is important that government really considers an allocation, even though at our level, private initiative is going on to see how many people we can resettle. But I'm glad that the finance minister was here with
thank you.
From the finance ministry.
Let's look at it this way. 2 very important critical matters that have to be explained. In terms of the big plan, as in the resettlement that you are pushing for your people, especially Mepe, which is completely gone, as we understand.
Yeah.
First, tell us about that. Is it just about the Sky Group and Prophet Amwating promising to help in that direction as well, and then Ibrahim Mahama also promising to help? They've all been there and donated so much to assist you. Is it just them, or there is a plan so that this doesn't become haphazard?
So, to be honest with you, something, I wish I could tell you that there is a plan which has been confirmed to us by the central government. There is none. So it's just private initiatives. My chiefs and I looking at land, large tracts of land, telling everybody to stay away from those lands and demarcating those lands, and we showing it to prospective people who want to support us to resettle these displaced people. So we keep pushing government to tell us what the plan is. And I told the finance minister yesterday in my remarks when he visited us that we want to see an allocation in the budget for that, and that will let us know that government has a plan. But for now, it is at the level of just private initiative, the chiefs donating land, and me going out there to lobby and appeal to well-wishers to come in and help us. But that's not a sustainable. I do concede that we may get some housing units, but in terms of looking at the numbers, that will not be adequate. And remember that the appeal my chiefs too made to the president when he visited us about Saglemi housing, if it could be considered so that our people will relocate, will have more decent, humane conditions, and then the schools will be free for academic work to resume. We are still waiting for a response from government in that regard. So we really don't have a plan from government on resettlement, and I think that it is really sad.
About groups like the Red Cross Society that gave you some 24 tents that you are distributing among the 21 displaced camps. Is it not possible to focus on getting more tents so that the education of the children can take place?
You see, the challenge with these tents is that these tents are being mounted right in the schools. So it still disrupts academic work. It's not conducive unless we prepare land elsewhere. And this is land that we want to use for more permanent housing, the land that we have allocated. Remember that we don't have a lot of land to spare these days. A lot of the land is underwater, and so the few we have, we think that it's we are better off using it for more permanent, decent housing, so that we can relocate the people. So these tents are in schools, so it doesn't really address the issue. I mean, children will be in class learning, and people are in tents all around, the precincts of the schools. Some are doing their chores, cooking, the smoke, the aroma, the noise activities. People are coming to donate. People are coming to share items, the noise. That's not a conducive environment for academic work. So it's really not an option ideally, and that's why we believe that the most appropriate thing to do, and to do it urgently, is to have a government announced initiative for reconstruction, and it has to be comprehensive. Houses, clinics, because a lot of the cheap compounds, a lot of the hospitals are gone. Really, technically speaking, it's only Bator Catholic Hospital surviving now. So we need to look at a resettlement plan, proper resettlement plan. And earlier this week, the Ghana Institution of Engineers, Architects, Planners were here, and they agree with us that the only sustainable path forward is to have a resettlement plan and move the displaced people into those permanent accommodation.
Issue has to do with what I raised first. The relief, it's coming in droves. Almost all media houses and the significant media houses like conglomerates like Multimedia are all mobilizing and bringing them towards the region. How is this coordinated?
Yes, and I must commend the media. You guys have been phenomenal, and we really appreciate it. In Northton, we have set up a joint committee, and I am in that committee. The DC is in the committee. The Deputy Director General of NADMO has been asked to chair the committee so that it's not seen as a partisan effort because he is a technical person. So he chairs the committee, we have reps from the chiefs. So it's a very coordinated effort, and we disclose to each other what is coming in. This morning we have a mega distribution program, which is what I had to take a break from to talk to you. And today we are in the Mefo traditional area. We are beginning with households. You know, many people think all the displaced people are in the 21 camps. It's just about 60% who are in the displaced camps. The rest are in households touching with those whose buildings survived. So today we want to focus on those people in the various homes. So we're focusing on the households, and we've packaged the relief items that have come in. Okay. We have them in relief boxes. So everybody gets some rice, some oil, some canned fish, a drink, biscuit, and then maize. My people really like maize. To
be frank with you, to be frank with you, Samuel, I was looking, for example, at say Akwanan Stevia Kwanzaa bringing those bags of maize.
Yes, from Ibrahim farm. Yes.
Ibrahim Mohammed's trucks. You call them trailers, right?
Yes.
Packed with all those items. Where are you going to keep them? That's actually what I'm thinking about. Where are you keeping them? Magdan Foundation, all that they brought in trailers. Where are you going to keep them?
Yes, so we've identified warehouses. Remember that the numbers are huge. So we immediately do sharing because we like the donors to see that the items are going to the people. So when they come in, we have a program. We invite people who are outstanding to be served. We invite them to the presentation ceremony. So immediately the first batch of sharing takes place in their presence. It goes to the victims. And then we have identified 4 warehouses. We have 4 big warehouses. And I must thank a Chinese construction firm here in the constituency who have donated their warehouse to us to use for this period. We have another warehouse in the assembly. We have a third one at the Best Care Hotel. They've also donated theirs very generously. Then the 4th one is I have had to convert. You know, I had this big furniture and footwear bank that I provide furniture and footwear to deprived children throughout the year. We've had to empty it of the shoes, remove the shoes and furniture, and we are using that as a 4th warehouse. So we still do have some space for more donations to come in. So something I don't want you to think that we are so overwhelmed and we lack space in Northtown. We do. And remember that this is a long-haul operation. They are still in the camps. They are going to be there for a long time. Over 500 houses, according to NADMO, have been
Even
destroyed.
When you do, we pray and hope that you do get overwhelmed. And when you do get overwhelmed, we will ensure that you are double overwhelmed because it is needed. Thank you very much, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, the MP for Northtown. And let's go to Seji Saji, Deputy Director, NADMO. Yes, earlier my question to you was, in terms of the numbers, now, are you setting of the specific numbers of displaced people that you are dealing with in these 21 camps?
Samson, and a good morning to you and your cherished listeners, and to the other panelists as well. Just to quickly situate the discussion properly, we are coordinating 8 districts. There seems to be a lot of focus of Northtown, understandably, because, it is the worst hit. But we are dealing with 29,133 people as our final figure we put out yesterday as affected persons in all.
What's the figure again?
Districts. 39,133.
Okay, so that's where we are now. 39,000,
yes,
almost 40,000.
Almost 40,000 in all these 8 districts that we have recorded affected persons. Yes, 1/3 of that number is in Northtown alone, and the single most the community that has the highest number is Nefe, understandably. But just for the whole country to understand that this relief effort or response effort is targeted at all 8 districts so that nobody will be left out.
I'm sure that's been clear. Even Okudzeto, when he speaks to the 12 camps, not his constituency alone. So then to the next question.
Just a clarity on that.
Yeah.
The 12 camps and the 21 camps is mentioning is specific to North Tongue and Lone. There are 4 in Central Tongue, there are 3 in Ada, and there's another 3 in Shai Usuduku. So there are currently 4 districts that have safe havens with people we are attending to.
So we have more than 21 camps.
21, exactly. What he's talking about is specific to North Tongue.
So the total number of camps will be how many?
We have 21 in North Tongue. We have 4 in Central Tongue, and we have 3 in Ada and 3 in Shai Usuduku.
Okay. So how are you coordinating the relief that is coming from all the place? How are you coordinating that?
So what we are doing is that we have tried to pre-position relief in at least 4 of the districts. We have relief in North Tongue actually holding the highest. We have relief in Central Tongue that is at Didome. And we have relief in South Tongue, which is Sogakofe. And we have some relief in Adan. So what we do is that we coordinate the movement or the deployment of this relief across all the 8 districts. Because when the donations are coming in, sometimes we even advise those bringing the donation that, well, send it to this place so that to be closer to the other districts. So we are holding items in these 4 centers.
All right. Did I hear you say 8 districts? We have been talking about 9 instead of 8, correct?
Yes, actually, there is in the emergency preparedness plan of the VRA, downstream the Volta Dam is 9 districts. But when the spillage started up to now, we have only recorded affected persons in 8 districts. 2 in Greater Accra, that is Shai Usuduku and Adan East. 2 in Eastern Region, that is Sujaman and Lower Manya. And 4 in the Volta region, that is North Tongue, Central Tongue, South Tongue, and Agnoka districts. The 9th district is Adan West, which is the Sege side. We have not recorded any displaced person yet. That is why I keep referring to 8 districts.
All right. Okay, that's understood. That's understood. So there is some talk about, the big plan, the need for resettlement, and perhaps compensation also. So let's talk about resettlement. Is it part of what you at NADMO are thinking about, or you working together with the ministerial committee?
Thank you. We have 4 phases of disaster management. It certainly starts with mitigation, preparedness. We do response and we do recovery. We are just about finishing with response and dovetailing into recovery. And recovery is normally short-term into the medium term. And mitigation would then start from there, which will be the medium term into long term. And that is where the issue of resettlement comes in. Relocation will form part of the recovery process because certainly some houses have gone down.
Right.
Most of the houses that were made with clay are down. Even the ones that are not made with clay, that were completely inundated, the immediate actions we are looking at quickly is to do a quick assessment of, the structural integrity of those structures. We are looking at decontamination because you are aware that all the public latrines, sanity, everything was washed into that water. Then we are looking at fumigation as well. When all this is done, especially the immediate plan of getting our schools to reopen, which the Minister of Education came to do a first assessment of, they are coming back after a week to give us a solution as to how the schools will proceed, because it is not only the safe havens that have been affected. Some schools have been completely submerged and they cannot be used again. So there are 2 categories. Some schools are gone. Even the ones are left, we are using them as camps.
All right.
So completely, there will not be education activities in those particular areas. And that is why the minister, as part of the interministerial committee, came down to have a first-hand knowledge, strategizing with his district directors of education and regional directors of education. They are coming back to start something.
How closely are you working with the MP for Norton, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who, for very obvious reasons, appears to, do his things in such a way that he attracts a lot of attention to his area?
Well, that's we are actually working very. I managed to work with the traditional council, work with the MP, work with all the stakeholders, and that was the committee he referred to. This committee was put together about a week ago. I had a meeting with them, and I painted the picture, the general picture to them. Government has brought in a lot of items. People have donated items to traditional councils. People have donated items to MPs, to MPs. I mean, in this case, the MPs of all those areas. So there is a need for us to have a coordinated effort in trying to administer this relief. If not, we'll be doing, we'll be duplicating our efforts, and maybe even doing that, we might leave out some people. So it is important that we all come together and do this, and that is how the committee was put together. In the other districts, a similar thing is working out, but it is through the disaster management committee. I would urge the media, especially your outfit, to try and get some duty bearers in all those districts too as well, and give them the publicity as you have done for North Town, and at least listen to their story as well. Because even though we have almost 13,000 people in North Town affected, we have over 9,000 people affected in Central Town. In Adan, we are talking about 5,000 plus. In South Town, we are talking about over 4,000.
All right.
In Kairu Sudoku, 3,000.
Thank you very much, Saji Saji, who is Deputy Director Technical of NADMO. I'll just take a brief comment from the two of you, and then we move on. Just a minute or two each. Nana Kumia. So he's talking about the need for coordination. There are certain people, regardless what you do, they have a certain leadership style. And don't you think they need to be reaching out a lot more to the particular MP who appears to manage his affairs in such a way that a lot of attention is going through to him, to the people generally?
Well, good morning, my good brother, Edudi. Yes, Samuel Okudzeto, I'm sure, is the reference person that you are alluding to in terms of his visibility and his proactivity in the relief efforts of his people. And so he's attracting a lot of attention, and these people are attracting a lot of relief items because of the activism of the Member of Parliament, Samuel Okudzeto. But if you heard him, he also was lamenting about the need for coordination. And
he shouldn't be lamenting, right?
No, I'm coming to it. And our brother from NADMO is also just lamenting about the need for coordination. So clearly what is happening is that the Okudzeto-Ablakwa is filling a gap. There's a gap in coordination. And so in that gap, he seems to be filling it, which is credit to him.
Or maybe they came to the game a bit late.
And you see, there are about 3 or 4 constituencies. I'm sure if I ask you who the other members of parliament are in those
we have spoken to Abla Jifa-Gomashi, and then the 2 others, I haven't heard from them, but I've seen our correspondent go to the various places.
So that is my point, that you can't even remember.
That's true.
So it shows you that the activism of Samuel Okudzeto has overshadowed all the other personalities. and also attracting a lot of attention to his constituency. And it's also filling a gap because there doesn't seem to be any coordination. And instructively, even the NADMO bosses are also lamenting about coordination. And coordination is important. No matter the activism of Samuel Okudzeto and some of the other people, they cannot serve as central coordinating points.
Right.
There has to be a central coordinating point that will bring everything together. I mean, we talked about even the distribution of the relief items. There has to be some equity.
That's right.
And if there's no central coordination, equity is going to be lost. People would get 4 or 5 times than other people. Other people may not get anything at all, depending on the activism or the preference of whichever the donor is, or the activism of Samuel Okudzeto and so on. So there has to be coordination.
Right.
And when there's coordination, it helps the plight of the people. For example, we understand that some shelters are being constructed.
Yes, the
So
Sky Group, and then we hear that this Prophet Amwatin is also promising, as well as engineers and planners, Ibrahim Mahama. And all of them went to the Mepe area.
So there has to be coordination in even the provision of shelters, that they satisfy the planning regulation of the area and so on. Land use of the area. The chiefs may donate the land, but you need a central coordination. And there has to be relocation, I'm sure, at some point, the severely affected people. So there has to be coordination. And that, so far, has been missing. So there seems to be no medium-term plan that this is what is going to happen with the relief items, this is what is going to happen with provision of health, sanitation, education, many children.
There's a ministerial team, about 12 or so or more. It should be easy for them to bring everybody to the one place.
We hope that they are getting their act together. But as we speak now, everybody, every major actor in the place is complaining about coordination, including even NADMO. So I hope that the ministerial team will get its act together.
All right.
And the communication, you remember the COVID-style communication of
That's
the
right.
government, which was led by the president.
Yeah.
And I think there were monthly updates. It has to be duplicated.
The Information Ministry has started something. They say they will do maybe twice a week. So they are giving
Fantastic.
updates.
Fantastic. So that the rest of the country would
And I see
carry
the
it
Information
along.
Ministry has also generated an emergency, contact line. To be frank with you, and let me come to Eduji, I was expecting that at the very start, we'll see NADMO, giving us short codes to reach to and all of those things, rather than have the Ministry of Information come in later and do all of these.
I have actually, I have actually seen a NADMO short code, but it all comes to the communication. Even you don't.
The projection.
But there's a NADMO short code. So even what is being done is not being communicated in a way that will carry all of us along.
Right.
So it's crucial that as we go forward, NADMO, the interministerial committee, the various members of parliament. Remember the misunderstanding over the withdrawal of some
Yes, military.
There was total misunderstanding, and so before we realized,
They said they were taking them elsewhere because they felt that Okudzeto's constituency, things were improving, so they were going
but
elsewhere.
if there's coordination,
But he disagreed, and I think they changed, revised the plan.
Well, but the initial information was that they were being withdrawn. What happened is they were being reassigned. But the initial communication was that they were being withdrawn.
Right.
So
the NADMO contacts, if you
coordination is
still
so
want to
important.
get to them, and you should be interested in getting to them. Remember last week they gave us these contacts. You can use them, 0291 103 257. That's 029 1103 257 or 029 1103 251. Yes, Sir Digi, briefly.
Something, my brief intervention as far as this matter is concerned is one, a call for a bipartisan parliamentary probe. I strongly believe that we need to ensure that we avoid this happening again. And we have the capacity to ensure it doesn't happen again. Now, on the issue of coordination, what is clear is that if there is a gap, it further fortifies the reason why the call for declaring a state of emergency is important. Because you see, you have a crisis that effectively has affected Volta region, Uchi region, Eastern region, Greater Accra, Savannah, and the Bono regions. I mean, I don't remember the last time, in the last 10 years, maybe beyond COVID, that we have had a national, emergency covering this number of regions. So it becomes necessary that we need to have a state of emergency in place. And once you have a state of emergency declared by the president, it provides centrality relative to coordination. And that, for me, is what is lacking. And in terms of the affected communities, I mean, it's obvious that Mepe is the epicenter because that's obviously where the Volta River basically meanders back towards Sugakope and these areas. And because it's also low-lying, it is not surprising that that is the worst hit. But you can see the work of MPs, Kobi Woyome in South Tong, you have Alex Wotoji in Central Tong, you have Jifa Ablagomashi, and the MPs for Kita, Gakwe, and then the MP for Anglon. But if you go to the Oti region, there's 6 constituencies in Oti, in Kwanta North, in Kwanta South, Biakuye, you have Krachi East, Krachi West, Krachi Nchumnu. All these areas have equally been affected. If you go to Germany, that's South Dine, all those areas have equally been affected. So once you have a state of emergency in place, you don't even have situations where all items are going to, say, Mepe, right, and then distribution possibly may become an issue. Relative to coordination, you'll notice that in the specific case of North Tong, at least there's what appeared to be a locally structured distribution network comprising NDC, NPP, and the traditional authority, particularly the Mepe Development Association. They have been so far so good in ensuring that everything is done properly.
Right.
Now, the danger is that after this situation, remember, there will be an issue of resettlement. How are we going to manage it? The health crisis that may come, cholera, among other things, because once it involves water, these matters will come up. So we are not done yet, right, and that is where I think the call for declaring a state of emergency is even more profound under the circumstance.
All right, thank you very much. So we will take a quick break. When we return, we will quickly check at the NPP. Next week, this time, they would be busy determining who becomes the flag bearer of the NPP, even though the watchers and the punditocrats will say that it is known, it's a done deal, except that you must go through the ritual. We'll be right back.